Okay, now that we lost a few minutes of recording time.
Only 3 minutes. For everyone that's coming in today, it's a Friday. It's beautiful. Tyler, we started this once already, so this is take 2. You're hopefully never gonna ever hear or see take 1. Tyler came in with a fact that he thought would be a fun fact, and it was absolutely not fun. He told me the fun fact, and judging by my reaction, he realized quickly it was a huge mistake. Okay. So,
I need my composure.
To GoAdditive. We've got Tyler Reid here, Tate Brown. I want to take a second to thank our loyal listeners.
Yeah.
Of which there may be 5 or 6, maybe even 7 now.
Yep.
There are people that actually listen to this podcast worldwide. And so thank you for hanging in there with us. Thank you for growing with us. And if you ever feel the need to give us some feedback, we love it. We've got a few people that reach out occasionally and kind of give us their thoughts.
You know what's happening more often now, especially over the last few episodes?
What?
There's people coming to me saying, hey, something you said really set me off.
I love that. I love it.
Oh, I know. Me too.
Because then on the next episode, it gives us an opportunity to maybe clear the air or right some wrongs.
Yeah.
Kind of like the start of this podcast.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. That was
this episode.
I misjudged the funness of that fact for sure.
That was not fun. That was pretty grim.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you knew it was grim.
I actually forgot the extent of the story. So it was
That's why you got to clear these with the group before we go in.
The best part about when people say, hey, something you said, I've got something to say about that. The best part is when I respond, oh, what did I say? And they said, no, it's Tate.
Oh,
yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Okay, well, let's hear the last one.
Oh, they're going to take it up with you. I was like, okay, talk to him.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, boy. Okay, well, I guess we'll talk about this after this one.
I have no idea.
I know exactly who it was.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I have to.
I'd be surprised.
I only know one person that would say
this is a new Jeb.
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in this episode today, we're going to talk about some fun news things.
We've got a lot of news.
We're going to revisit the hairy ABS, the fuzzy ABS.
Should we just jump into that right now? Or are you still going through
I'm going through what we're going to talk about. Okay. We have a material minute for you all.
Great.
And then we got some fun YouTube of the day stuff that may lead to some other discussion.
I also have show and tell.
This clearly is your incentive if you've only listened to our podcast. Our show and tell is the incentive to go check us out on YouTube.
Yep.
At the GoEngineer channel.
Yeah.
If you don't know where to find us. YouTube, GoEngineer. Find us on the GoAdditive
YouTube is a
stuff.
website.
It's on the internet.
It's a popular website for videos. And we're on there.
Yeah. So this is actually super cool because this involves multiple people from GoEngineer made your show and tell today happen, right? And there's actually some cool webinars on this.
You're pointing to it. You and I can see it. No one else can see it. There's no camera pointing that way, by the way.
Down here.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Here. I'm told I'm wrong. That's in frame. Cool. All right. So people can actually see it the whole time. That's cool.
Yeah. Haven't you noticed? Haven't you ever seen one of our episodes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a subscriber.
Hey. Oh, and by the way, this is in terms of show and tell. Maybe I'll bring this next time, but I told you I finally cut out that piece of acrylic.
Oh yeah. You should bring that in.
I finished it. I glued it together with hot glue.
We should hang it up for one of our episodes.
Yeah. I'm waiting on some lights. No?
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay, fine. Whatever. It's okay. It's okay.
It can go up on juicyfilaments.com.
Okay. For sale.
Yeah.
That's it, though. I think we can cover all that.
Yeah, we got to jump into it.
Let's start with the tech tip.
All right.
This
tech
is
tip.
This is a tech tip.
Tech tip.
Tech tip.
Tech tip.
So this came to me, a friend of mine listened to one of our episodes, gave me some feedback, and he said, hey, so that customer of yours that was running into the issue when he was sanding ABS, I've had that same problem. Here's how I fixed it. So the problem is when you sand ABS, there becomes a point where the sandpaper almost seems like it's not doing anything anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's because the fibers tend to kind of stand up in these strands, these little fine strands, and it kind of creates like this fuzziness. And the way my buddy tackled this issue is he would actually coat the parts in super glue. One, because it dries really fast, but two, it would kind of stand those fibers up and it would hold them stationary so that he could continue sanding. If you've used super glue on these parts before, it pretty much just soaks right in. It doesn't really stand up unless you use the gel style, but it doesn't really stand up off the part too much. So you wouldn't be adding, you know, you wouldn't be adding workload to yourself because you're sanding, trying to knock things down, typically high points. The glue will basically set in all the valleys and kind of soak into the part. So it'll help you sand quicker.
Capillary action into the part.
Yes. The capillary action.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
So why super glue?
Well, good question. You had another question. You and I actually had the same question. Because why super glue?
Yeah.
I asked the same thing. I said, why not like heat polish or why not acetone?
Just some sort of solvent
acetone wipe
that
down.
would, evaporate.
His reasoning was fumes. So even though super glue creates fumes, he was more concerned about the fumes from heat and acetone. So
yeah, but just the acetone itself, not heating it, but just brushing it on, I think.
Here's my experience with that. It can create like a tackiness to the ABS.
Yeah.
And I think that would affect your sandpaper too. So it kind of melts it, right?
Yeah,
so if you brush it, depending on how you apply the solvent, could create some gumminess.
Yeah.
Which I try to avoid.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a good tip.
Tech tip is complete. All right.
Thank you for sharing that, loyal listener.
Let's print head. What do we call our
head.
loyal listeners? The print heads.
We cannot use the word listener.
Yeah, we can.
No, they're print heads.
Okay, print heads.
Yeah.
I love it. I like that. That's like my favorite.
We need to trademark that.
If we don't, someone else will.
Yeah. It's actually probably the best thing that we've ever come up with. And we didn't even come up
Juicy
with it.
filaments.
Juicy Filaments
is another thing that we didn't come up with. Jeb here did.
Juicy Filaments is probably invoicing us every time we use print heads. It's like, that's my trademark.
I know for a fact, actually, we are going in debt. This is just little by little.
Oh, yeah.
To Jeb, the creator of Juicy Filaments.
How will we ever pay it back? We make no money doing this.
All right. What's in the news?
Okay. There was an article out of GM that said in order to deal with some supply chain issues and delivery time issues on the new 2022 Chevy Tahoe, they 3D printed 60,000 parts for the new Tahoe in order to hit their expected delivery time. So it was a part
2022 Tahoe.
Yeah. So this actually happened.
Like, these could be showing up.
Yeah.
On lots.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Probably soon. So this story goes back to last fall 2021, but they just basically shared that they went to our friends down in Carlsbad, Forecast 3D, to source 60,000 parts in 6 weeks in order to circumvent some supply chain and lead time issues with 3D or injection molded version of the component.
Okay. What technology? When we're talking production, it's always like, okay.
What? So as soon as you start talking about volumes in that number, you know right away that you're only considering a few technologies, and they came out and it announced what it was, but just the fact that where it was printed, I would know that it was MJF, multi-jet fusion off HP machines.
Okay.
So we've talked about powder bed fusion, polymer powder bed fusion in the past several times, and how it's, it's geared towards production. You're looking at tens of thousands into 100,000s of parts, part orders, part runs.
And for people who aren't familiar with this, why? What are the whys behind that being kind of a better production technology?
Well, the throughput is high because you essentially have a build volume that allows you to 3D nest parts. So any way you can twist them and turn them and put them in the powder bed.
You're not limited to sticking it to the build sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
It can go up in Z.
So it's not a 2D.
It could
limitation.
Hover in the air for a moment.
There are some details around like surface finish is different based on like downward facing or upward facing areas. So
but it's pretty uniform.
It's fairly uniform. And if you're going to be doing post-processing, which all of these production parts are highly post-processed. Like as these companies move more towards just part production into manufacturing like solutions, the post-processing component of this whole workflow becomes a critical thing to consider. It's like one thing to print a part, it's a whole other thing to deliver an automotive quality finished part. So Forecast 3D was able to do that. Now, I think it's great news, but the undertone of the article was that if the lead time issue wasn't there, like if GM wasn't already facing like an immense amount of pressure to deliver these vehicles on time, these parts would have been injection molded. So 3D printing wasn't the ideal manufacturing solution, but it happened to be the best option given some
time constraints.
Other outside constraints. But it's a step in the right direction. It teaches the engineers involved and the production managers involved and the executives involved that 3D printing, has a lot of possibility. The biggest challenge that I think we're up against is most parts are still not designed to leverage 3D printing from the get-go. So 3D printing is never going to be the ideal manufacturing solution if the parts aren't designed to leverage the benefits of 3D printing.
Never say never. Never say never.
Well, I'm saying those two things are basically contradictory. Like if you design a part the way you traditionally design parts, it means you're designing parts for manufacturing in other methods. And so if you're doing that, it would be a very rare circumstance where 3D printing actually did a better job than the parts that the traditional manufacturing.
Currently.
Yeah, but
I hope someday it isn't.
Well, it won't. So that's what I'm saying.
The idea of 3D printing is that you are not limited by geometry, right?
So but we know that's not true. That's not true in any case.
We know it's not true. In any case?
In any case.
I don't agree with that.
No, I'm just saying name a technology that has zero limitations, geometry limitations.
None.
Exactly.
But the hope is that with additive manufacturing, it isn't limited in the future.
That's like Star Trek level sci-fi.
Well, I have to say something really quickly while I'm using the terminology additive manufacturing.
Yeah.
This article that I pulled up while you were talking about it, it actually mentions that additive, it says 3D printing more formally known as additive manufacturing. So the writers of this article are saying that 3D printing is the new word. So remember our argument.
I don't trust. Where's this? What's this article?
CNET.com.
They don't know what they're talking about.
But this is mainstream. This is mainstream news. That's what, all I'm saying is, how does the world perceive this? So
that is a good question.
Whoever wrote this,
that is a good question.
In their mind, 3D printing is the new wave. Additive manufacturing is old school. That's what we used to call it.
Does it say formerly or formally?
I'll quote, 3D printing, more formally known as additive manufacturing, is the process of rapidly crafting fully formed parts from digital models.
Are you saying
close quote?
Are you saying formally, like formal attire, or formerly?
Formally.
Yeah.
Formally.
Yeah.
No.
So he's
okay. My goodness, that's my bad. That's
okay.
That's Claire.
That's okay.
I thought it said for. This is why you can't read on air.
Yeah.
Not only that, but do math. Luckily, I didn't do any math, but formally known, not formerly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler. Even behind the screen, you're such a wealth of knowledge.
No. Okay, so on the topic of bad journalism around 3D printing, I have another story.
Okay.
Google this.
All right.
Just Google
this.
New York Post, which, you're not going to expect excellent 3D printing journalism or tech journalism out of New York Post, but New York Post, 3D printing, and just hit enter. And you should see an article about the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority in New York. Do you see this?
No, but you won't believe this. Charity 3D prints home for Virginia woman in 12 hours.
Oh my God.
3D printer capable of making guns goes missing from MTA yard. That's the one.
Yeah. Okay. Even just that title.
Yeah.
Look at how they position the story.
Can I click into it?
Yeah, click into it.
I'm following that one.
Read the title one more time.
3D printer capable of making ghost gun, parts stolen from MTA rail yard.
How ridiculous is this title? This is like talking about a human capable of committing a crime.
Yeah.
Actually just went to the store to buy milk.
It's clickbait, man.
It totally is.
It's terrible.
The reason why they do this is an article, I think it came out this morning. And if you read down through the article, they attempt to tie it back to a recent Supreme Court decision around a New York State gun law. But it is total fear-mongering. Totally.
Absolutely. And these are old.
It gives the implication that there was some printer that was designed and marketed and sold as a way of circumventing the law, which is not true. It's a $100,000 commercial printer.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Is it an FDM system?
I would guess.
They're saying...
But you just don't know. The Transit Authority purchased it, and they bought it, and it showed up, and then it went missing. That's the story.
The device, which could be used to churn out pieces for so-called ghost guns, built and sold on the black market, remains in the wind, sources said.
So it made me wonder.
Sources. So this source, they're not even naming the source, but this source also said it could be used to print parts for firearms, they warned. The lack of supervision here has cost the agency more than $100,000 and possibly put people in danger.
This is ridiculous. Any 3D printer, any 3D printer could do that. So it makes me wonder.
Well, it's funny because the picture also, the very first image in their post has a benchtop unit.
Yeah.
With a 3D printed firearm sitting in front of it.
I think like the old Liberator.
This has been happening since Suckboy Tony.
Oh, since way before Suckboy Tony. She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Suckboy Tony is a character. He's a real person.
Yep.
Who they printed these really
elaborate.
They weren't that elaborate. I mean, they were very simplistic.
Some of them were. When he went to the Guns and Bitcoin meetup, and they had all those guys with the 3D printed firearms. Some of them were very elaborate.
Yeah, but a lot of them were just like pipe
from Home Depot.
Home Depot, like water pipe.
Yeah,
like Schedule 40 pipe and some 3D printed handles and things like that. And they're all brightly colored, which they did on purpose just to make them look.
They look like Nerf guns.
Absolutely.
But they're shooting like 22 and 9mm and all sorts. Yeah.
Shotgun shells.
So I was reading this and I had the same thought. I was like, what's the average person think of a 3D printer? Which we've talked about. Like, how does that conversation go when we tell people we sell 3D printers. And I think we agreed, like we were concerned that people would confuse us for toy salesmen. Now I'm wondering, do they think like I'm some character from God of War, like some traffic arms? Am I an arms dealer?
If people read articles like this and believe it.
Yeah.
But I think the way you put it in past episodes is like a CNC machine could do this. But we don't ever see articles like say a CNC machine was stolen yesterday, which is capable of producing XYZ dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Weapons of war.
No one says a tree fell down in the wind. Luckily, it could have been carved into a sharp, pointy stick that could have been used to poke kids on playgrounds.
It could have been made into a pencil.
Burn everything. Burn all the trees.
Well, okay. So I get your point. Your point is we've got to stop this.
This is insane.
How do we stop it? How do we stop it as readers of this?
Stop clicking it. That's the problem.
I just clicked into it.
I know.
So now I'm part of the problem.
And I made you do it. I actually feel really bad about it now. But that's the only thing you can do is stop clicking this crap, because
it makes you want it so bad, though.
That's the problem with...
It makes you think that, I mean, the title, this is what I think. It makes me think that this is a special printer, maybe a new technology, maybe something that we are always trying to understand and know what's new, what's coming out. Yeah. It makes me think that this is something special, and it's probably not.
It's the antithesis of news. News is meant to be like, hey, here's some information you need to know. Instead, it's a deceptive headline to get you to click on something that you don't need to know. It's crazy, and you can't fix it. It's a problem with all of journalism right now and news media. It's all incentivized. Not just news media. It's all ad incentivized, which means it's incentivized by number of clicks. Look at half the news articles you click into it and you start scrolling, and suddenly it's a stream of 20 ads. And you're like, where's the article?
Well, and you get the pop-up that's huge and has the tiny little close button that's hard to click.
Yeah. And then you're scrolling it and you scroll down and then you scroll back up looking for the stupid button that you're supposed to hit to actually reveal the article. And half times it's not even there. Like, I swear it's not there. there's no article.
It's there somewhere. It's blurred out somewhere. In line with this,
it's crazy.
I'm going to segue this same conversation though to my YouTube of the day.
Okay.
Which I hate this person. I don't hate this person, but I don't like this channel.
I love him. I love him.
It's Whistlin' Diesel. You ever heard of Whistlin' Diesel?
I have. I love him.
He's some punk kid who destroys everything. He basically he's made a living off of finding niche vehicle followings, buying those vehicles because he can afford them, and then just tearing them apart in the worst conceivable ways, generating lots of reaction. He's brilliant in that term.
He's a total troll.
In that sense.
In this, I am conflicted. I'm conflicted because he is a perpetrator of what I was just literally worked up about. He is a perpetrator of this.
Exactly why he's my YouTube of the day.
But he's so funny.
He is not funny. He is not funny. He's not very clever. I mean, okay, that's a lie.
Stupid humor.
I think he fell into this by accident because he's a troll by nature.
He's a troll.
He knows how to get reaction. He's like the little kid that you see do something bad and just watching you to see what your reaction is before they do it. You know what I'm talking about? And then they do it anyway just to get you to freak out.
I see maybe some of the worst parts of me in him. And I think that's why I like him.
Okay.
Because he'll act very stupid, you know?
But is he?
You don't know.
That's
what I love.
I think, okay, so I'm going to tell you about, it's not his channel that I'm trying to get you to watch. It's the fact that I got sucked into. I knew that I didn't like Whistlin' Diesel. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the channel. I don't like what it's about. I don't feel like he's like doing anything good for society, whatever.
Yeah.
The title of the video is called I May Be Going to Jail for a Year.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I'm going to be excited about.
YouTube delivered that right to you. You're like, absolutely. You think you don't like him?
And this is his cleverness, right? This is at this point shows he knows his persona. He knows whatever he's created. And now he's going to get clicks by the people who like him because, oh no, not Whistling Diesel, not my homeboy. I don't want him to go to jail.
Which apparently after you watch the video, you realize there's a lot of people like that.
And a ton. There are hundreds of people that showed up to the courthouse on his day of court with signs and T-shirts.
The dude
They're
is
buying his
clearly
merch.
guilty. He's clearly guilty of what he's accused of.
It's on film.
Yeah, clearly guilty. And yet they show up.
Digital film. Why do I always say film? Is that still cool? Is that kosher? Can I say that?
I think it's fine. It's like
I called a book a digital book the other day, a book on tape. Is that still okay?
I think it's called anachronistic, but so clearly technically it's not true, but it's the verbiage.
Okay.
So
hopefully I'm not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
he also, not only does he get the people who love and care about him to click this, but now he gets the people who want to see him imprisoned.
Yeah, some people clicked on that.
I don't want to see him imprisoned. I don't actually, but I'm like, this has to be clickbait, but I'm going to click on it anyways because I want to know why he could be incriminated.
Yeah.
I watched the whole dang video and he is not going to jail for a year.
No.
First and foremost. Second of all,
well, he might. It depends on how bad he pisses the judge off.
If you go read the punishments in your territory for a misdemeanor, class A through C or whatever,
or your province for our Canadian listeners,
you will see the minimum sentence and the maximum sentence for something of that degree.
Yeah, and actually. That's true. His maximum sentence was 364 days. So technically not even a year.
Not even a year. Okay. So my point is I think a normal traffic citation is like a class C misdemeanor. If you look at the maximum jail time for that, there is a jail time.
Yeah.
But are you going to jail for going 5 over? No, you're getting a ticket, a citation.
It is the exact same thing. You're kind of leading with
the worst thing that could happen.
And statistically it's not going to happen.
But you get clicks that way.
At least he's not parading as a journalist. He's an entertainer.
Okay, that's true.
It's his job. It's his livelihood.
So
to do that.
Are we entertainers? Can we start doing this?
Well, we do it every time I listen to you for like how to do the title of the pod. Make it 1,000x.
I do not encourage that. I never did that. I'm totally hands off with your titling and the way you describe the episodes because I think you do a great job.
You've made it known which ones you like and which ones you don't.
That's not true.
Some of them you go back and you're like, remember that one episode?
I think it's funny. I think it's funny what things attract the clicks and the views and the listens.
That one episode, I don't really remember how you titled it, but whatever it was, it got us like 10x more traffic, almost maybe 1,000 times more traffic.
Why are you doing this? He's totally making this up. Good night. All right. So anyway, what's our message here? We're going to try not to do this. We're going to try not to click on these episodes. We're going to try not to fall for this crappy journalism. And that basically journalism around additive manufacturing is.
Actually, we're no better because now we are hoping people will listen to us talk about this. So unless we click on it and read it and then come back and talk about it, we're not going to get people listening to us doing it. So we are definitely part of the problem in this.
Are we?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely part of the problem.
No way.
Oh, yeah. We're like, we're 3 levels down, but we're part of the problem for sure.
Well, listen here. Here's another part of the problem.
I'm having an existential crisis.
3D printed houses.
Right now.
Don't. He's going to have a nervous breakdown. My little brother sent me a post on Instagram.
Yeah.
And guess what it was?
You probably just said it.
It was just Icon. It was Icon. Of course, he doesn't know who Icon is.
Sure.
But
no one does.
Yeah, they do.
Some people do. Our print heads
they've
do.
done a
Our
great
print
job.
heads do.
They've done a great job with marketing.
That's
I see
true.
them pop up all the time, and of course, every algorithm I have is probably geared towards 3D printing in some way. But I see a lot of these houses, and Icon has done a great job of attaching their name to 3D printed houses.
I think that's true. I wonder if that is by design. Probably. Just helping get press for their projects.
Yeah. I mean,
if they're doing their job,
mainstream
they should,
at this point. If my little brother, who has nothing to do with additive manufacturing, is sending me videos, hey, check out this 3D printed house. What do you think, man? You don't want to hear what I think.
I used to get a lot of that about like chocolate. Look at this 3D printed chocolate. Look at this 3D printed
It's a hot glue
pizza.
gun. It's a hot glue gun.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's stacking things up.
At least we've graduated from chocolate to houses.
So
I wonder what's next.
I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to pause our regular scheduled programming for a material minute.
Hey!
So speaking of chocolate and things like that, I actually have a legitimate. This is legit. This is not a juicy filament.
Juicy filament's legit.
In the hearts of our print heads.
Yeah.
It's legit. And I'm told that there is a new advertisement coming out soon.
Okay, cool.
But the material minute today is for Loctite 3D 3955. You heard of this material?
Yep.
It's beautiful. This is printed on the Stratasys Origin 1. I do believe that there are other printers in the market that can print this as well.
Yeah, it's a DLP material.
Yes. Yeah. And it's the first photopolymer that passes vertical burn and aerospace FST standards. It's a high-performance halogen-free, flame retardant, UL94V0 rated material. This is very important to a lot of people. I think that's an Airbus standard that a lot of aerospace folks use and transportation companies. It is the first 3D printed photopolymer that passes vertical burn and aerospace FST standards. I already told you that. It's halogen free, it's high performance, it's high modulus with excellent flexural and tensile physical properties. One of the coolest things about it, it has an extremely high HDT. It delivers negligible deformation in harsh environments. It passes flammability 2x10 second vertical burn and FST. There's the Airbus standards and stuff like that. I believe the Fahrenheit HDT temperature is like 412.
Fahrenheit?
Yes.
That's up there.
Yes.
That is up there. And it's probably a thermoset material, so it probably becomes more rigid as, well, no, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't have any green strength ratings. A lot of DLP material data sheets will list the green strength and the final strength. Yeah. This is a UV cured material and then thermal cured as a post process.
Yeah.
And that thermal cure gets it there.
And this material is solid at room temperature, right?
Yes. So it's only printable at 60C.
That's cool. The DLP resins blow my mind. I think we're going to see so much progress in materials on that side.
They're pretty neat.
We printed with a new one from McNano this past week.
Is that right? That happened while I was gone?
Yeah.
Nobody told me how to work. What happened? And what's cool about the material? Don't.
Okay. So it has carbon nanotubes suspended in it.
How does it suspend the nanotubes? Do we have to shake it up? Do they settle?
So I don't know all of the details, but once it's in the printer, they don't settle, and they don't need any sort of agitation. So I don't know how they do it, but
I call it a good shaking.
Yeah, Jeb was telling me about it. He's like, when you pour it out, it's unreal, like the consistency of it, because of all of those suspended solids. It just is strange. But those nanotubes provide some paths for electrons, so it's static dissipative is
Very
what
cool.
it's meant to be. So it seems pretty cool. And then
any like mechanical property that's particularly good besides just the ESD properties?
I don't think anything's all that notable. It's probably like a more general purpose material outside of the static dissipative
Cool.
properties. That does bring me to one of the news articles I had, and that was Desktop Metal announced a foam, a 3D printable foam.
I thought you were going to say something else.
What?
Nothing?
Oh, no, I'm not going there.
Okay.
I mean, given the context of like our last few episodes, we could go there, but I want this one to be like a little more upbeat. And I think in one month,
says the guy who made us have to take a second take on the intro because your starting story was so sad. Let's get past it.
It was a
Sorry.
mistake. So, but hey, give it like 6 or 8 weeks, and we'll probably have a lot more to talk about on that front.
Okay.
Not with them specifically, but industry wide. I think things are going to happen.
We'll let the situation unravel.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I think so. DM announced a printable foam. It's a DLP material that's printing on their eTech platform. eTech is the new name for Envision Tech. And
why did you do that?
I don't know.
The blink that you just did.
Every time I say eTech, I'm reminded of this like Amazon private label brand called eTech City. That's like very cheap electronics. And I just can't get that out of my head. So anyway, the material was developed by one of DM's acquisitions from last year. I think it's a company called Additive, but they developed the DLP material with some reagents in it that when they're exposed to heat, they expand up. So you print the part and then...
Oh, I saw a video of this. It looks like a loaf of bread dough.
I actually haven't seen the video. But yeah, so it's supposed to expand like 2 to 7x.
But how does it hold its form?
Well, think about it. If the
images that I saw.
Ant-Man?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I'm not going to watch that either. I won't.
So it's got all these. Let's say I don't know what shape they're, but just say they're spheres in a resin. Okay, and then you hit them with heat; those things expand, and they're all throughout. So the whole thing expands, and now it should still be locked in place. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm going to YouTube this.
I would guess that it would have to build up stresses as it expands, because the distribution of the particles is probably not going to be perfectly uniform, and then the geometry is obviously not uniform. So I think you would have some weird stresses in there, but if the resin is soft enough, then it probably doesn't matter.
Volume production. So it's called free foam. Did you already mention that?
No.
I'm playing this little video for us.
Freefoam is a first-of-its-kind 3D printed foam. This breakthrough material can be 3D printed in virtually any shape and size. After printing, you simply put it in an oven, where small air pores expand to a specific size that can be tightly controlled. It sounds simple, but this innovation is about to rock the foam industry.
It's good music. That is so loud, though.
Free foam.
And I think it's awesome.
Expandable 3D printed foam. If you want to see this, go to YouTube and search free foam.
I think it's awesome.
TM.
Awesome.
It looks great. And the fact that it says here that it's for volume production, that could be a big deal.
I am so stoked on DLP materials.
As long as they age well, I am too.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Actually, DMs have been having a good month. Their stock is up like 40-something% over the last month.
Well, that's not real hard considering everyone was in the tank.
Yeah. The only better investment was the Russian ruble. Can you believe it's at its all-time high?
Did
you know
that? I
that?
have no clue. No.
The ruble is at its all-time high. That's crazy.
Why? Why is that crazy, Tyler?
Well, why do you think? It's
Because of the war?
Well, it's actually because of the sanctions.
Oh gosh, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, I know.
Because I won't have anything to bring to the table. Selfishly, I'm just gonna.
This is not an
bow
international
out.
commerce podcast.
No.
But if you want to subscribe to my Substack, just kidding.
So what else? There was another news topic that you had. We basically just have
Yeah, I did
news
have
the
one
rest of
more.
the way through.
Okay, so this news article, basically the U.S. the Commerce Department came down on 3 service bureaus. It's actually a family of service bureaus. It seems like they're probably all under shared ownership.
Once
They're
you're
all
in a
tied
service
into
bureau,
each other.
You're all family.
Yeah. Speaking of dealing in arms, the reason why they're in legal trouble, and they have been barred from exporting anything, is that they violated some ITAR rules. So ITAR is the International Trafficking in Arms Regulations, and it's basically the rules that surround dealing with national defense.
Manufacture,
technology.
sale, and distribution of defense and space-related articles and services as defined in the United States munitions
So
list.
like satellites, rockets, just those type of parts, which are commonly 3D printed.
torpedoes,
So
military hardware.
we know that if we have, we're not set up to handle ITAR parts. Other people are. And there's tons of rules and regulations to make sure that that technology doesn't get outside the US. And these guys were subcontracting the 3D printing of some of these ITAR regulated parts overseas. So they were
You're
sending
kidding me.
And what's crazy is
I thought this was going to be stateside.
no. So they were sending print files to service
boy.
bureaus in China. And you and I know, like, a slice file is a different thing than a 2D drawing. You send a 2D drawing, you still have to come up with, how do I make this? You send a print job, that's the instruction set on how to make the part. So it's a one-click solution to replicate the parts. It's a big deal. So we've been talking about 3D printing becoming more and more of a national defense.
Some might say, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Sorry.
That's okay.
It was going to be a funny joke, but it's only going to be funny to some.
I had never heard of these companies: Quicksilver Manufacturing, Rapid Cut, US Prototype. I had never heard of them, but they're over on the East Coast, which we have less of a presence there. So big deal.
Yeah,
big deal.
It is a big deal.
I hope we don't see more of this.
That's what I was going to say. This could implicate a lot of folks, honestly.
Well, especially, 3D printing democratizes manufacturing, which means a lot of people get into this business thinking it will be easy. And it's very easy to get in over their heads. We've talked about this in the past. Like, you don't necessarily know what you're signing up for when you start a service bureau and start building parts. And you should know this is a problem, but maybe they didn't. But they probably did.
Well, they're not going to do it anymore. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. So should we jump into the show and tell?
Let's get into this. So tell us who designed it first, and why, and where we can find more information about it. Because I think that's important.
One of our coworkers named David Kersley designed this putter. And we've brought him up in the past about he was a designer in the golf industry at some point. I don't know all the details, but we have an event coming up in Chicago next month where we're going to talk about the design and making of this putter. There's also a YouTube video that goes pretty in depth, and not this project exactly, but a similar project on our YouTube page. I don't know. You could probably just search like GoEngineer golf.
Optimizing golf design using SolidWorks.
Okay. And I remember you were really impressed with this.
It's my favorite webinar I've ever watched. Ever.
That we've done, or like ever?
Ever.
Really?
It's my favorite educational webinar. I freaking loved it.
Wow.
that's a compliment to David. And I had so much fun. I was so engaged. I like golf, but I had no clue the science involved in putting. I've been putting since I was a kid. Had no clue. And watching this just made my mind explode about the depth of science in a putter. And then on top of that, you get filled with some SolidWorks tips and tricks, things to really understand how powerful simulation is in SolidWorks. It's incredible. Like, I totally geeked out over it. I think it's great.
I had recently heard that Ping has an extensive simulation team and just simulates the crap out of all of their clubs, like way beyond what I thought.
Well, we've talked about Cobra. They're probably doing the same thing too.
I guess they probably are. We recently golfed together for the very first time.
It was so fun.
It was fun.
It was way fun. Tyler here has a swing on him. He was hitting his 3-iron about as far as I could hit a driver. No joke. Pretty incredible. That was so fun. I hope we do it more.
I know. I got to get some clubs so I don't have to bum clubs off people.
It's all right. With a swing like that, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It makes you just feel honored that I would hold your club.
Yeah. It was great.
All right, cool.
You can hold my club anytime.
I've got some of these parts that are not quite finished, printed off the metal parts. So you have a part that looks like this.
It's got a little hair on it. Got it.
Yeah. So this part's been tumbled and machined. So you have one machined surface there.
And these supports, or this material, is permanent. That's part of the design.
That's a lattice.
Okay.
Yeah. So David's design had some ribbing in there, which created overhangs. And either I would have to fill that with support, like what you see here.
Yep.
So in those holes, you have support. And that support is actually fairly easy to remove. I just grabbed this with pliers and just pry it out. But in all of that, I was like, let's just put lattice in there.
How round do those holes come out? Are they pretty round? Little ovular?
Yeah, they're not perfectly round. And you could...
Anyone who's printed, I mean, this is kind of a struggle with any print process.
If you look in there, I drilled those holes out, and I even oversized it by a 64th on the drill. And there's still areas that you're seeing exposed printed layers. So
not perfect, but pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Now that part is a funky shape, so we printed some.
It's kind of a wedge.
It's a wedge. And so in order to hold this part and machine that top surface, we created these soft jaws. So these are really light. I printed these.
You can see, our camera's not going to be able to pick this up, but I was shocked that you did a sparse infill on this.
Yeah. You don't. So
he didn't even print these solid. You're wild.
You don't need to. So
if you say so.
I printed these in 2 hours, which means I was able to print them and cut on the same day, which was pretty cool. I did print it solid underneath the counterbore. So that's where you're going to see the most compressive force. And these, let's make sure you get this right. That nests in like this. And this is just a tapered wedge, and it goes in like this. That's backwards, but I didn't design these soft jaws. So that was a Jeb here on our team.
Oh, nice.
He knocked out 3 sets of soft jaws in an afternoon on the design side. So yeah, it sketches me out a little bit holding it like this, because as you compress it, it's going to want to push the part up, but it does have a positive engagement.
Yeah. It's totally locked in.
So it's locked in. So he has more machining experience than I do. And this was me trusting him. Like, I think in the past, I would have looked at that and maybe questioned it. And in this case, I was like, nope, I'm just going to give it a shot. I got to trust him. And it worked totally fine. So
any sketchiness at all?
No sketchiness. It's a light cut. You can see these are lifted 3 millimeters.
Did you just fly cut it?
I use a fly cutter. These are lifted 3 millimeters off the build plate. You do have a more solid support on the bottom. That's a 1 millimeter thick perimeter wall. I've started doing that on a lot of parts, the thicker, solid perimeter, because it really helps the lift. When I printed this single part, it did lift one corner very slightly. So
the part actually, did it lift off the build tray, or did it just pull the whole build tray up to where that screw is incredibly tight?
It doesn't deform the build plate as far as I can tell. It just, it elongates the support to the point where it might lift off the support.
I see.
If you look at this other part, which is the face, this is not a solid support. And in this case, I didn't need a solid support. I'm still at the stage where I'm just taking a guess.
Is there any reason why you didn't angle that on the build? Oh, you did slightly.
Yeah.
It looks like. Because that's better for the recoater wear, right?
So the reason why you're talking about angling it that way.
Just clocking it Z on the Z. So if we were to turn that just slightly more, so there are fewer straight lines.
Exactly. So it's clocked, a couple degrees.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be precise.
Which is enough.
But you don't want lines that are completely parallel and completely perpendicular to the recoater, because it can start to wear the recoater. So those are usually turned. So we'll generate the support in Magix. The support in Magix is always XY, and then you turn it a little bit.
So you're getting a little mini metal defam course right now.
And so the reason why I align these parts how I did is because you're looking at like what surfaces will I need to machine no matter what, based on the assembly and the tolerances of the assembly. And can I position the part to put the supports there? And then what other areas would I really want to avoid putting support based on the aesthetics or the difficulty of machining and stuff like that? So that's how we came up with that orientation. And that support, if you saw it, it had perforations in it.
Mm-hmm.
After I sliced that off the build plate, I was able to remove all of that support with just pliers and snips. It leaves a bad surface, and this one is going to get machined, but that's been tumbled. Yeah. That discoloration it's cool. It makes it almost look like an old forged part.
It does. It totally looks like an old casting or something like that.
Do you know what it is?
What?
So I tumbled that dry in a ceramic media, and it's just compacted dust.
It looks great.
It looks
honestly
awesome, huh?
Well, I mean, if you were getting this part forged or casted, I would imagine it would look like this anyway.
It's like a patina.
Yeah, some of these surfaces would need to be machined.
So,
oh man, I'm so excited to see. You gonna bring this in and putt with it when we finish one?
Oh yeah, for sure. So these are the soft jaws for that part, and we can crack them off.
Let's do it. Get it closer to the mic.
It doesn't need to be that close.
It doesn't?
No. Oh yeah.
There's really nothing like it. That's a good looking print. What material is this?
This is PC ABS, polycarbonate ABS blend.
Did you print this on the F370? I see the tray.
Yeah,
yes.
You see the tray.
You must have used the end of the spool, because I just printed a benchmark in PC ABS, and the reason I printed it in PC ABS, I'm going to tell you a funny truth right now. I've worked here for 3 years. I have never done a benchmark in PC ABS.
Now this is going to be sketchy. I'm a little concerned about this. So this mates up like that.
Uh-huh.
This just holds it like that.
Yeah.
That's a little sketch.
Why didn't we go any deeper? Jeb designed this?
Yeah.
I would have done a much thicker soft jaw with a pocket, because we're trying to machine this face, right?
Yeah.
But not
both of those.
So you are trying to get the sidewall of that. I would have created a full pocket to keep that from lifting. Does that make sense? I would have put this lower in the soft jaw so that it had something above it that would hold it too.
Yeah. I don't know. This one sketches me out a little bit, but again, I think I might try it. It's a very light cut. It is a very light cut.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Maybe I could just coat this with hot glue. And that could help give it just enough hold.
Yeah, my concern is it rocking.
Yeah.
It's not so much that it like flies out, it's just that it rocks.
I think I probably would have tried to interface with those indents and made that the stationary jaw, and then come in with this on the pivoting jaw, or the moving jaw. So I don't know. But you have like, and then you have this final op there.
Well, I guess this is the beauty of soft jaw, like 3D printed soft jaws. We would not be, if these were aluminum soft jaws, like traditionally, and we were machining these, one, we couldn't have these sharp corners that we have in there, right? Because a tool is always going to have that radius. But also, like, say these are not a good design for finishing these parts, we can iterate and make another soft jaw that holds it differently.
Yeah.
This is light duty. So
very light duty.
Should be able to handle it.
And then that one holds it like that somehow. So I'm going to skim that putter face.
Sweet.
And I think I'll run the fly cutter across it and get like a texture.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. I am a little sketched out.
That's a fun project.
I am a little sketched out with this one. But
I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I'm going to make my call. That ain't going to work. But I hope it does. I hope it does.
I just...
Be gentle. You're going to have to be gentle.
I already am, because machining the parts it gives me anxiety.
I'm glad
really
the Tormach's up and running.
It honestly makes using the metal printer a lot more fun.
Yeah. Well, and we can fly cut
exactly
our build sheets, which I see that you already have.
Yep, I have. And the machine right now is purging within
I can
like
tell
10
what
minutes.
you printed.
Yeah,
for Jeb.
That's Jeb's
for
latch.
For the creator of Juicy Filaments.
Yeah.
He needed a door latch.
Yeah.
So he looks like he talked you into printing that for him.
Yeah. So on this build plate, you can see evidence of some other prints, and you can tell it's been fly cut.
Yep.
So we resurfaced it. I printed those because I wasn't going to print over that area, and they're so low. I didn't bother cleaning those off. I actually will probably clean those off with a angle grinder or a flap disc, because if I resurface the whole plate, I'm going to have to take the whole plate down at least 5,000. You should probably do a little bit more. And it's just not necessary.
Not that you have that kind of control with an angle grinder anyway.
Well, what I'm saying is with the angle grinder, I can very easily just grind down to the surface and not take much more, because you can visually see. And then I'll probably do that a bunch and then resurface the whole plate once it's a little more haggard.
So
does that make sense?
By next episode, you think we'll have more show and tell?
I may have a full putter by next episode.
Sweet.
That's my goal.
Cool.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, today was a good episode.
Yeah, it was
We talked
good.
about a lot. I don't know what you're going to title this one.
I have no clue.
Well, thanks. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Show and tell is good. We should do this more often. Let us know what you think about it as a listener. It's probably kind of boring, but do check out the YouTube channel if you want to see some of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there, and no reason not to.
And check out the blog, because that's where you'll find the write-up
Eventually.
on this stuff.
Eventually.
Well, not yours.
Yeah.
On the old putter.
And if you're in the Chi-Town area, come to our event, July 18th.
Right on. Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's a wrap for episode 5.1.
Talk to you later.
See ya.